This episode was supposed to be me driving down the road to go get my mod plate and have my roadworthy done. And then I would have been doing front wheel skids, throwing shuckers. It's not going to happen. After running the engine a few times, I started to hear sounds that I wasn't that happy with. Went back, did some research, and it turns out that I have made a catastrophic mistake. Well, maybe not catastrophic, but I, in my ignorance 2 years ago when I rebuilt this engine, put in the wrong size bearings, not realizing what had been done for the engine. So when I took it apart, I took it through to an engine shop, and they did everything perfect. They asked me if I wanted to have the bearings and gaskets sourced by them. I said, don't worry about it, I'm learning, I'll do it myself. Therein lies the problem. I ordered incorrect size big end bearings and main journal bearings, okay? I'm out by 10 thou, okay? And I'm fairly certain at a stab in the dark it was probably about 0.5 millimeter. So you can't actually run the engine, it makes noise. And you can really hear it when you start and there's no oil in the engine. So first start of the day, makes a couple of knocks, sort of quietens down, but then you can just hear it there, and I just can't be doing with that. So I have to reiterate, it was not the engine shop's fault, it was definitely my fault. But man, like, you're learning. That's all I can sort of put it down to. Doing things like this isn't exactly the easiest in the world. That's why professionals tend to do it. I really wanted to learn, and part of that learning process is making mistakes. This one, I think I'm going to get away with. It depends what everything looks like when I have the machine shop just check it out again. But, you know, it's cost me a bit of money, and it's definitely cost me time, and I was so excited to get it going. But there is an upside. What wasn't happening was, before this YouTube channel started, I was just sort of filming stuff on my phone, and I didn't really get much footage on the build of the engine. So it's kind of nice to give this story a background now, and I can sort of show you what I've done there and probably document it a little bit better, and I might be a little bit better at making sure I don't make a mistake. So you guys get to see it, and all three of you, and I get to do it again. I have a look and see what have I done wrong that time. You know, can I see if there's any mistakes as I pull everything apart again, and fix anything small that I probably would have overlooked if it just ran perfectly, and just left because it was too hard to do. But apart from that, let's get tearing down an engine I just built. First step, other than jacking your car up, is to remove the fluids. The oil sump is drained and the oil is inspected. No visible metal specks is a great start. However, I won't know for sure until I've removed the sump. Next, the coolant is drained. I do this by removing the coolant line from the turbo to allow air into the circuit. Then the radiator hose is disconnected. The coolant exits with the force of a hangover piss at 4 AM. The fluids are stored safely for proper disposal later. As I begin disconnecting items from the engine in preparation for removal, I make certain to label everything in a Ziploc bag for easy reassembly. I find a few pinholes in my turbo manifold and mark them to be re-welded while the crank is in the machine shop.
During this process, I find the tag that I didn't read from the machine shop telling me what size bearings are needed. I'll keep this as a reminder to be thorough.
So very quickly after recording the intro to this video, I started taking away all the accessory parts in the engine bay. Got all the bolts loose. It took me not even an hour, so that's all well and good. I'm going to try and get this out today and get it apart and hopefully get it to the machine shop before close time this afternoon. But if not, I'll just take it in tomorrow morning. We'll see how we go. So I've got the engine out of the car and into the shed. It's time to tear this down. While doing this, I'll be able to just to see if there's any damage that's visible. Fingers crossed it's not. But judging by the time today, I'm probably going to get the constituents into the machine shop tomorrow morning and have them source the parts for me so I can put it back. But talking about it won't get it done.
I begin by removing all the accessories from the engine block. Once that's done, I can remove the rocker covers and loosen the head studs. The heads slide off easily and I take a moment to inspect them for any damage. I wrap them in plastic sheeting for storage to keep them clean. The short block is then placed on the table and the clutch and flywheel are removed to gain access to the bell housing and the crankcase bolts. All the internals are visually inspected and despite the coating coming off the big end bearings, nothing too bad is visible.
Alright, it's been a real big day. The engine came out, I tore it down, and I had a good look inside to see what was wrong. And it is exactly what I thought it was. Those bearings were too small and you can see it that they're really scuffed up already. The actual crank itself and the block look fine. I'm going to still take it in just to be measured and I'll get the engine shop just to order the correct size parts because they'll know. And then it's reassembly. What has been good about this experience is that I tore down the engine so quickly compared to what I did the first time. I knew exactly what I was doing when I was doing it. I became more familiar. I knew what to look for. I built this thing 2 years ago originally, and as you can see, like, I made mistakes, and that's fine. That's all part of learning. I've just got to accept that and the financial smack on the arse I get for it. But in having said that, I just get the opportunity to do it again and I'll learn something. So I'm really excited now because I know I'll check everything that was in the back of my mind going, oh, I should have done that, I should have done that. But now I'll actually get the opportunity to check it. And when I put that engine in again and start it up, it is going to be incredible. I'm so looking forward to it. I just hope I can get it done by the end of the week, but we'll see what we can do. Hello. It's many weeks later and I am a little bit older and my beard is either longer or shorter than it was last time I saw you. Ran into some problems. The crank, mildly damaged. Needed to be ground, next size over. Got the bearings and such. This one in particular. Put it all in. Thrust bearing, which is this one, doesn't fit. So the crank wouldn't even sit in it for whatever reason. But fortunately the machine shop did an awesome job fixing that up for me, like a cracking job fixing it up. They did it quite quickly, so now I'm hoping today to get everything together. So I may as well just hook straight in and I'll show you everything as I go along.
Plastic gauge is placed on all the journals and the crankcase is assembled and torqued to spec. This squash is a plastic gauge, and it's compared to the legend on the packet corresponding to oil clearance. Once I'm satisfied it's all within tolerance specified in the workshop manual, I begin assembling the engine, taking care to use plenty of assembly lube. I'm reusing the EA82 turbo pistons, so I clean them up, lubricate them, and compress them with a ring compressor. I tap the pistons slightly to help me align them perfectly in the block. I check the workshop manual for the next step, and it states to send it. The flywheel is reattached and the clutch aligned. The short block is placed back on the stand and the mating surfaces are cleaned thoroughly and the head gasket is applied. The head bolts are lubricated and then torqued to spec. 3 passes gradually increasing the torque sees the head seated brilliantly. The rocket assembly is lined up with push rods and valves and the tappet clearance is adjusted.
Alright, as you can see, everything's back in the engine bay. I didn't really bother filming it because you've kind of seen it before in the previous videos. And also yesterday somebody was chopping down a tree and mulching it in the street and it was just not good for content creation. So I just left it, but I put everything back in there, front grill's on, and I guess there's only one thing left to do. Fingers crossed. Maybe if I put the choke on. So the choke cable I stuffed up, so I'm waiting on another one, but I'll just manually put the choke on here. Just a smidge-o. Fuel pump priming. Oh, so close. So we're getting there. I just need to tune it up a little bit so it runs. Alright, so that's me done for this episode. The car is up on the street finally, and it doesn't sound like there's anything wrong with it. It just needs a tune up. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, because now that this job is getting close to being done, I'm going to start looking for the next thing to do. Next episode, I've bought some seats and I'm going to paint them. It's like PU leather. And I'm going to use Duplicolor and see how that goes. And I've also spoken to a guy and managed to get some extra 3D printed trims. So I will paint them up and figure out which way is the best way to do it and also let you know where to get them from. Like and subscribe.